Good evening. We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order. At this time, our clerk will read the roll.
Bolden.
Aye.
Boys.
Aye.
Connor. Davis.
Aye.
DeShazier.
Aye.
Fusco. Garrett.
Present.
Hannah.
Aye.
Kamer. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick. Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
All members are present.
For those who voluntarily wish to do so, would you please stand at this time as we are led in prayer by Reverend Dr. Joyce Penfield, Director of Peace Builders Academy. Immediately following our prayer, I'm going to ask if Councilwoman Boyes will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, friends. Before I start the prayer, I wanted to invite you to step back with some of the words of Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The words remind us that no matter where we are, we're connected. Whether we're far from people or close to them, we are connected. And I think he summed it up in this way, and my prayer will give acknowledgement to that. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Be that in our local community, our global, our wards, wherever we happen to be. So let us pray. O God of love and righteousness, from you comes all wisdom, love, and truth. Be with the city council members, the mayor, all civic leaders, those in our community in Akron. Give them courage, wisdom, honesty in meeting the needs of all those in Akron, in each ward, whether near or far, or their own ward or another ward. Send down on them the spirit of charity and justice so that their major focus is on love made public in policy, which is justice, especially for those who thirst for equity and dignity in their homes and in their work. Give our elected officials and community leaders and each of us present tongues to speak, voice of truth, and bodies to move policies and practices that create and sustain our city and each person near and far. Help us to promote the well-being of all people as a foundation for peace. Give each of us hearts filled with mercy towards those with no home, those who fear gun violence, those who've suffered from violence, are young, who need opportunity to grow, are old, who need protection, and those who are hungry, especially those who suffer, who we're connected to, far away in the land called Gaza, Palestine, Sudan, Kashmir. Keep all of us focused on a task of being our brothers and sisters' keepers, as we are uniquely called, be elected, non-elected, citizens, non-citizens. And never let us forget that we are bound in a network of mutuality. What happens locally affects globally, and what happens globally also affects us here locally. May God give us wisdom and peace to work for justice in our own particular called way. We ask this in the name of God. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The minutes from our previously held meeting have been provided. Are there any additions or corrections?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
The motion to approve the minutes passes 13-0.
We'll now move to our public comment period. All those who signed up to participate, if you'll please stand at this time so that you may be sworn in by our clerk.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do." Thank you.
Thank you. Just going to ask when you hear your name, if you'll please approach the podium, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak to this body, and we're going to begin with Lucy Harris.
I have questions that demand answers. First and foremost, did Jasmine even know he was being pursued by police? Walking through the neighborhood in the dark of night, could he have feared for his life, thinking he was about to be attacked or robbed? Did Officer Fields identify himself as law enforcement? Or did he simply start chasing an unarmed child through the darkness, treating him like prey in a hunt? There were no squad lights illuminating the scene, and no body cameras were activated. But you know what was recorded? The bystander who captured the final heart-wrenching moments of Ashley Green's terrified, panicked son. As if their failures weren't already staggering, they have compounded the harm by withholding critical information from a mother about her own son's conditions and whereabouts. Tell me, does that resemble the conduct of a responsible law enforcement agency? Or the behavior of an institution that has completely lost sight of its duty to serve and protect? This country's laws were built on the premise that every individual is entitled to a fair trial, to be treated with dignity, and for the law to be executed as it was designed. Yet here we are, facing a situation where a police officer, armed with not a simple pistol, but with some form of automatic weapon, and had the time to arm himself to the teeth, but somehow didn't find it necessary to inform his target of who he was, activate his body cam, or even flash his sirens. But no, he had the time to chase, he had the time to kill. And let's not forget, the officer now has all the time in the world to sit on paid leave, just like every other officer involved in this tragic farce. They mock their victims, they mock the very laws they swore to uphold, the people they are supposed to serve. Akron police have taught me one thing and one thing only: laugh in the face of authority, because to them, it's nothing more than a joke. I've learned to tolerate the everyday disregard for the law, whether it's running up to stop signs, texting behind the wheel, or the overwhelming sense of narcissism that seems to ooze from the walls of the station. But what I cannot and will not stand for is the senseless murder of black men and women, all for the amusement of white officers in the background, watching these executions unfold. The police in this case sicken me. If I ever find myself in a situation, I'd rather trust my local crackhead to solve the problem, because at least they won't come with a gun aimed at my head, and at least they won't make me the problem. And let's pivot for a moment. I see that Malik is not here again. You guys might call him Shamas or whatever. I call him a profound disappointment. He was elected on the promise of serving the people, but his tenure has been defined by inaction and evasion. Empty rhetoric may have gotten him into office, but his silence and passivity has spoken volumes since.
Thank you, Lucy, for sharing. Lillian?
Good evening, you guys. I don't know how I can go behind that one. That was good. Well, justice for Jasmine. For real, justice for Jasmine, because she spoke everything that I basically feel in her entire bone. It's like, how much time do we have to wait now? How much time? What is time? We only get X amount of time to come and speak at this council meeting. We only get X amount of time to sit up here once a month to come and speak at this body when our black men and women, as well as our children, are being harmed. We only get to speak at this council meeting when it comes down to our housing. I have black mold. My kid's been sick or whatnot. And where is the justice for that? When are we going to stop dealing with the things that are going on here in Akron? When? So I don't even know how much I can sit up here. You gave a good speech on that one. Where is Shamus? How many times are we going to see him? Well, I didn't vote for him, as everybody knows. I did not. But at the end of the day, here it is. I'm looking at each individual, and we have not been able to come out and speak the way we want to come and speak. We have been sitting up here waiting and being patient, gave you guys all the time and the dignity. Where's our dignity? Fesco, Reverend Green spoke out about you. How much money do we have to spend for justice? For real. We have sat up here, we've been fighting for justice way too long. Mike Jones, Jalen Walker, Jasmine Tucker, Rock Switty, I can name a whole lot of black men who's been suffering. Child Protective Services, taking kids out of our home that doesn't deserve to be taken out of our homes. Where's the justice? Our kids' schools are failing. And we sitting up here trusting Democrats, but I blame the whole entire Republican, Democrats. It doesn't matter which type of party we actually vote for because everybody's failing this. Everybody. Every single last one of you guys have failed this community. And I cannot wait, once again, to move out of Akron. I met some wonderful people here. Wonderful. Community can be brought up, but I'm losing hope. I've been here for almost 12 years, 12, and nothing. But I brought another condom, and it says APD, protect and serve.
Thank you, Lillian. And after the meeting, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about the black mold and how we can help with that, okay? Mrs. Caldwell, are you online with us?
Yes.
Okay, great. We can hear you. You can begin.
Okay. I feel like my issue is so trivial compared to what has just been said. But my only issue is the dogwood tree that is being planted in my front yard. The household has extremely bad allergies. Last night, my grandson went through it. He woke up this morning with his eyes matted shut. That has not happened prior to this tree going in. My granddaughter is on 5 different medications for asthma. I just really do not want that tree in my front yard. I called and I spoke with a Mr. Knoll, I think I'm saying his name right, who was helpful. He told me that I needed to speak to you guys today. I'm not opposed to any tree, just not that tree in my yard. So I was wondering if there is a way to get around that. The letter, I don't know where that is. I don't know where it went. But I just need to know if there's something different that can happen for that tree in the yard up in the front.
Thank you, Mrs. Caldwell. We'll make sure we'll follow up with you to see what maybe some other options or alternatives are, okay?
Okay, and then if you guys need video, like I literally have pictures of the way he woke up this morning. I can get doctor things from the doctors and all of that kind of stuff if you guys need that as well.
Okay, Mrs. Caldwell, thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
That concludes our public comment period. Again, we want to thank all those who participated. Council, before you is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Lombardo, are you abstaining on the full consent agenda? The item that you requested to be pulled has been pulled, so it's not part of this vote.
Okay, I didn't understand, so
So you're okay with the
I'm okay
consent
with it,
agenda
yeah.
before you?
yeah.
Okay.
The consent agenda passes 13-0, and there was an item that was pulled. Mr. Kamer, would you like to pull your committee?
Yeah, can we read in the item, though, for the record, please?
Sure. The item that was pulled was a resolution declaring it necessary to improve North Main Street between the termini of Martin Luther King Boulevard and the northern corporate limit by resurfacing, constructing and reconstructing curbs, concrete sidewalks, driveway approaches, water service connections, and water mains, installing roof drain pipes and planting trees, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. I will poll my committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Councilman McKittrick.
Aye.
Councilman DeShazer. Councilman Bolden.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardo.
Nay.
And then myself, aye. So with that, we're asking for passage.
Any other comments? Councilman Lombardo, do you have any comments?
My comments were just concerns that I've expressed previously regarding this project. You know, no doubt it's going to work on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday night, but I just feel the concerns of the businesses were valid. Some residents that park on that street or live on that street are valid. With these road diets, I know we're getting federal dollars for it, but with the road diets, I just think that there are things that are going to happen that are going to cause more problems. For instance, people wanting to avoid the traffic and cutting down side streets would be a problem because there are neighborhood streets such as Dayton Street or East York Street. I know that the Route 8 expressway traffic with the new bridge coming by the end of the year, GPSs are going to tell you to exit East Cuyahoga Falls Avenue and East Talmadge to get downtown, and that's going to cause more congestion. So if safety, I'm all for it. Of course, everybody would be, but I think there's a better way to monitor the safety of North Main Street if accidents are a problem. I think our men and women in blue that wear the badge could have a more presence on that street, so we would get the message. So again, I mean, this is, like I've said before, this is not really a Ward 2 project. It's an Akron project. And is this the way we want Akron to look like with these road diets everywhere? So my plan or my option would have been a 2-lane model going in each direction, because I've seen, and I'm sure we can all attest to, others on different roads that have been subject to that road diet, how drivers kind of go around the ones that are moving a little slower. So that's not going to be too safe. So those are my comments, and that's why I'm not in favor of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments at this time? The committee's report is favorable. Councilman Garrett, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam President. As it relates to the item, Madam President, I had an opportunity to talk to some of the business owners, as a business owner myself, just to see the hardship that they're getting ready to go through. Had a chance to talk to a few of them up and down, Wise Guys, Jacket, Graffiti. I'm opposed as well, and I just wanted to express that as well. It is just, I know a lot of times we suggest that over time they would actually be able to survive, but it's going to be hard for some of those entrepreneurs over there. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Any other comments? The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Maybe we'd like to do a roll call.
Yes, please. Bolden?
Aye.
Boyes?
Aye.
Connor? Davis?
Aye.
DeShazer? Fusco? Garrett?
Nay.
Hannah?
Aye.
Kamer? Lombardo?
Nay.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Amobian?
Aye.
And Somerville.
Aye.
This resolution passes 11-2.
We'll now move to old business, planning and economic development. Councilman Fusco. Time will be granted. Public service, Councilman Kamer. Time will be granted. Public Safety, Councilman McKittrick.
Continued time, please.
Time will be granted. That concludes our old business. We'll now move into new legislation.
Item number 1, offered by Lombardo, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts after requesting and receiving requests for proposals for a case management and database system for the Akron Citizens Police Oversight Board and the Office of the Independent Police Auditor and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lombardo,
Consent, please.
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 2, offered by Lombardo, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts with Matrix Consulting Group to conduct a staffing study for the Akron Police Department and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lombardo,
The committee's request is for time.
time will be granted.
Item number 3, offered by Lombardo, resolution approving and confirming the appointment of Elizabeth England as a member of the Human Resources Commission and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lombardo,
Pass.
so I think you just have to poll your committee.
Pull the committee, okay. We're going to pull the committee for that. For suspension of the rules, okay. Let's see. Councilwoman Amobian?
Aye.
Councilman Fusco? Aye. Councilwoman Tina Boyce?
Aye.
Councilman Bruce Bolden?
Aye.
Councilman Lombardo? Aye.
Okay, thank you. Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Councilman Lombardo, do you have any further comment?
No further
Okay.
comment.
Thank you. So the rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Councilman Mobley, did you have a comment? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to reiterate what I said this afternoon. I have known Mrs. England for a long time, and she has the background, the reputation, and she has lived in this community for a very long time. And she also has the skills to help those of us that are old folks with Medicare and all those kinds of things as well. So she'll be a great addition to this body. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And I've had her come and speak to my ward meeting many times, and she does a phenomenal job as well. So again, the rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This resolution passes 13-0. Item number 4, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to place a digital outdoor advertising display at 800 Flora Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco,
For and advertise.
this item will be referred.
Item number 5, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to place a static outdoor advertising display at 800 Flora Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman
For
Fusco,
and advertise.
this item will be referred.
Item number 6, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct 3 two-family dwellings at 733, 737, and 745 Excelsior Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco,
For and advertise.
this item will be referred.
Item number 7, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct an oversized garage at 711 Delaware Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco,
For and advertise.
this item will be referred.
Item number 8, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct a child daycare business center at 698 Diagonal Road and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco,
For and advertise.
this item will be referred.
Item number 9, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a Type A daycare home at 355 St. Ledger Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco,
For and advertise.
this item will be referred.
Item number 10, offered by Fusco, resolution approving and confirming the reappointments of Mayor Shamus Malik, Chris Luddle, Kyle Julian, Helen Tomic, Margot Somerville, Jan Davis, and Tina Boyes for the year 2025 as members of the Northeast Ohio 4-County Regional Planning and Development Organization, with alternates David Messner, Michelle DeFiore, Dylan Garitano, Kurt Mulhauser, and Dr. Joan Williams, Sarah Biviano, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco,
Consent agenda.
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 11, offered by Fusco, resolution approving and confirming the appointment of Rachel Brady as a member of the Board of Zoning Appeals and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco,
Consent agenda.
this item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 12, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an amendment to the master meter agreement with the County of Summit and other master meter communities, amending and/or supplementing Title V Public Works, Chapter 50, Sewers, Section 50.22, Sewer Service Charges of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Akron to amend sewer service charges for all master meter customers and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer,
Consent agenda.
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 13, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts after publicly advertising for bids for the construction of Alder Creek culvert lining and declaring an emergency.
Councilman
Consent
Kamer,
agenda.
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 14, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Green Horizons Environmental LLC for the provision of compost manufacturing and consulting services and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer,
Consent agenda.
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 15, offered by Kamer, resolution declaring it necessary to improve Shelburne between the termini of Canton Road and 30 feet west of Kreiner Avenue, Burn Street between the termini of Canton Road and Shelburne Avenue, High Grove Boulevard between the termini of Albrecht Avenue and 50 feet south of Davenport Avenue, Baker Avenue between 42 feet east of Maslin Road and 36 feet west of Hilbish Avenue, Income Drive between 110 feet east of Darrow Road and 150 feet east of Dorset Street, and Springfield Center Road between 45 feet east of Maslin Road and 73 feet west of Hilbish Avenue by the repair of concrete pavement, repealing Resolution Number 126, 2025, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer,
Consent agenda.
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 16, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts after publicly advertising for bids for the rehabilitation of the Waters Park Amphitheater and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer,
Thank you, Madam President. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Madam President. This legislation will allow us to bid, award, and proceed with the improvements of Waters Park Amphitheater. I do know that the Parks and Rec Department is in communication with some folks that want to use this for bicentennial and some other smaller events, and with that, we're asking for passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 17, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Jerry Pate Turf and Irrigation Company for the purchase of a Groundsmaster 4500 lawnmower for the J.E. Good Park Golf Course and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer,
Consent agenda.
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 18, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to accept and expend a grant from the Johns Hopkins University in support of programs and initiatives of the Bloomberg American Sustainable Cities designation awarded to the city of Akron and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer,
Consent agenda.
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 19, offered by Kamer, ordinance approving and confirming the appointments of Mayor Shamus Malik with Anthony Dolly as his alternate, Steve Fricker with Michael Wheeler as his alternate, and Casey Shevlin with Dan Dempsey as her alternate, as trustees to the Summit Akron Solid Waste Management Authority Board, doing business as Reworks, for terms ending May 12, 2026, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer,
Consent agenda.
this item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 20, offered by Connor, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Tuesday Musical Association to provide professional services for the management of the Heinz Pool Summer Dance Festival and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Connor,
Consent agenda, please.
thank you. This item will be placed on the consent agenda. That does conclude our new legislation for this evening. We'll now go over our committee assignments, rules. Councilman McKittrick.
2 p.m.,
Public Safety, Councilman McKittrick.
2:15.
Budget and Finance, Councilman Lombardo.
3 p.m.
Parks and Recreation, Councilwoman Connor. Planning and Economic Development, Councilman Fusco. Housing and Neighborhood Assistance, Councilman Fusco. Public Service, Councilman Kamer.
2 p.m.
Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian. Is there anything else coming before council at this time? Councilman Bolden?
Thank you, Madam President. Since I've been on council, one of the things I've talked about in Ward 8 is the area that I think is ripe for development and for economic development is the Merriman Valley. This Wednesday, there will be a public meeting, as I am part of a steering committee that's looking at potentially setting up a Cuyahoga Valley Gateway Partnership. This is a meeting for the public to come in and hopefully a lot of the businesses in the valley to attend to get their input on what we can do with the valley and how we can move this forward, working with City of Cuyahoga Falls, Metro Parks, and the Cuyahoga Valley National Recreation Area. It is at Weather Vane Community Theater this Wednesday, April 30th at 6 p.m. Hope we can see a lot of people there that are interested in developing the valley and get things moving. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Anything else coming before this body at this time? If not, is there a motion for adjournment? If there are no objections, meeting adjourned.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Margot Somerville, President of Council, presiding. Please exit the chambers at this time. Thank you.